I always like to hear how people get started in this industry, and a number of you shared your stories with me last night, because I grew up in the business. My family had an electrical distributor, and I really have never known anything but the electrical distribution and the electrical industry. And honestly, if someone had asked me 30 years ago if I'd be doing what I'm doing today, I would absolutely say there's no way. I would never imagine this. In fact, there were several times that I planned to leave the industry, but there were some choices that I made, and had some influential mentors and leaders that really helped shape who I am today and help me be where I am. So I'd like to, just in giving my background, just share a few of those with you, because I think they are relevant to emerging leaders even today, even for us old people, it's so long ago. So like I said, I grew up in the electrical industry, working at the shop, as we called it, stocking shelves and waiting on the counter through the summers. And after college, I went into the grocery business. I was in sales for General Mills for about 1.5 years. And while it was great training for me, it gave me real fundamental selling skills and presentation skills. It just wasn't, the products weren't that exciting, selling flour and cereal for me. So I went back to work in the family business, and working beside my 2 brothers and with my dad and my uncles. I found myself making some decisions about our business that were really based on my gut instinct, and not so much about business-based, real empirical decisions. So I had the desire and decided to go back to graduate school. And so the first takeaway I want you to have is that the importance of an education, and anybody that might be aspiring to get an MBA or advanced degree, I highly encourage it, but I encourage you to do it for the right reason. Do it because you want to learn something. Don't do it because you want to get a piece of paper. I had a lot of people at Northwestern with me that were in finance or consumer goods, and they were just there just to get a piece of paper. And I had a lot of very close friends and good friends I've kept along the way that were there like I was to really expand my ability to run a business. So I almost left the industry after I graduated from grad school. I had an opportunity with this cool company in Chicago that had this brand new contact lens that were colored contact lenses. So I was going to be the product manager for these brand new colored lenses. And my dad called and said, you know, Kathy Jo, we're in the process of transitioning the family business to the next generation, you and your brother and your cousin. And if you really think you might want to be interested in doing this, you need to come back. Well, I wasn't sure I wanted to be in the business and run this little small business in Kentucky, but I wasn't opposed to it either. So I made the decision to pass up the job in Chicago and move back to Kentucky. And that's really where I found that I love the industry. I mean, my brothers and we opened a couple of new branches. We were having a blast. It was a great relationship working with them. But on my personal life, it was suffering. I was spending every other weekend in Chicago with my friends because I went to college up here and went to grad school up here. And when I was at home, I was working all the time. And so I made a tough choice to decide to leave the family business and move to Chicago. I remember the day I told my dad. His only daughter was leaving the family business to go to Chicago, this big city. We were in his pickup truck at the farm, and the rocks flew. I was a little bit concerned for my safety because he was none too pleased. And it seemed like days that went by, but it was probably only a few hours that he had to cool off, and he finally realized that it was the best thing for me and supported me. So I think the second takeaway I'd like you to have is, you know, you've got to do what's right for you. As hard as it was to finally face my dad and tell him I was leaving the business, it was the right thing for me. And really, there were 2 great things that came out of that decision to move to Chicago. One was I met a great guy that taught me a lot. He was a great leader and a mentor for me. I remember one time John pulled me aside and he said, I was in marketing. I was a marketing manager for an electrical distributor in Chicago. And John said, Kathy Jo, you know, we really need to get you some P&L experience. And I looked at him and I said, John, I'm in marketing. I really like this. I really don't want to go in. I don't want to run a branch. I don't want to run a district. I really like marketing. And he said, Kathy Jo, and I think I even phrased it, you know, I don't really need P&L experience. And he said, Kathy Jo, everybody is responsible and accountable to the bottom line. And so that resonated with me, that, you know, a lot of times we think marketing is, well, it's kind of soft and mushy and it's not measurable, but John really helped me develop and build a marketing department that really did deliver bottom line results to the business. And so the two takeaways for you is one, is find a great leader that you aspire to be like. John was like that, and I still stay in touch with him today. And also just be accountable and think about what you do and how that delivers bottom line results. So the second thing that came out of my decision to move to Chicago was I met my husband and my three wonderful kids. He was the controller for the distributor that I went to work for. And we've been married 18 years now, so I'm very, very excited that I made the decision to move to Chicago. So another takeaway that I think some people often forget is, make sure you don't let business get in the way of life. A lot of people would say, that was a bad idea to try to date someone at work and then for us to get married. But the reality is it was the best decision for both of us. So we worked together for 7 years. I was with the distributor. And then we made another personal choice that we really needed to diversify our income and not be so reliant on the same company. So I ventured out and set forth, and once again, I was about to leave the industry because that was in the year 2000 and the dot-coms and all the roll-ups, and brick and mortar was going to go away, right? And pretty cool and exciting opportunities. And then I walked into Coleman Cable, and I have to tell you that the atmosphere, the environment, the energy, I felt right at home. I mean, it was the perfect fit for me. And I remember a funny story at the first NAD that I went to as a manufacturer. I'd been on the distributor side for at least 15 years or more. And I walked into the room, and I knew all the manufacturers. But here I am now, I'm a manufacturer. I'm supposed to be the face of our company. I didn't know any of the distributors. So I set it upon myself, and what Jenna said last night is that she's inherently an introvert. Believe it or not, I'm the same way. And so for me to reach out at this NAD and try to start meeting all these distributors was very, very hard for me. But I found that once you start and once you do it and you practice it and you do it more, it becomes a lot easier. So now today I'm very proud. After 15 years on the manufacturing side, I walk into most NADs and I know a lot of the distributors and I know most of the manufacturers as well. So it's been a wonderful industry, a great industry, and I think it's because I got involved. Much like Doug and Glenn said, and I know David's been highly involved, is you get what you give. And so I feel very much that this industry has given me and my family a whole lot. It's done a lot for me, and I feel a responsibility to give back. So I'm very proud to be here today. Just the last note I want to wrap up with is that I think really in the last 10 years is probably when I have worked hard at transitioning from being a manager to being a leader. And that was a really hard transition because I was used to doing, right? My value and my credibility is closing the deal, doing the presentation, getting the appointment. So that to me meant I was doing something. And being a leader means you got to help other people see that vision, set the vision, set some parameters and expectations, but let all the people around you be successful. And one of the most rewarding things is when I see, individuals that, 5 years ago were at one point in their career, and I've kind of helped them through coaching and development and gotten them to where they are today. So the last part I want to kind of leave you with is this idea of just practice. Practice building relationships, practice being a leader. None of this comes naturally for a lot of people. You've got to set forth a path and a vision for yourself and practice.
Thanks, Kathy. Good morning. I'm David White. I'm president of Sheely Electrical Wholesalers. We're down in South Carolina. We've got 18 locations throughout the Carolinas. And we got some questions kind of preloaded, and somebody asked what was the biggest break that you've kind of experienced in your career. And I'd tell you, good news for you guys. My biggest break, in all sincerity, was coming to this meeting. I showed up, like most of us, accidentally into the world of electrical distribution. I was an engineer. I got an undergraduate degree in engineering from Ohio University. Took a job with Cooper Industries, and they stuck me in Lexington, South Carolina. And I said, how close is it to Myrtle Beach? It's the only thing I knew about South Carolina at the time. So went down there, didn't know a soul, and spent 2 years with Cooper Industries in their manufacturing training program before I decided that in the second year I had to move to Pittsburgh. And after growing up in 6 months of clouds and winter weather, I thought South Carolina was a much better place to live. So my wife and I left our jobs in Pittsburgh, went back to South Carolina, and took a job with Square D, and that was kind of my entrance into the world of the electrical world. And so I worked in a plant. I was a manufacturing engineer, loved to figure out how to make things. And after 2 years with Square D, I said, you know, I really want to be a plant manager one day. That's my dream in life, to be a plant manager. But before I become a plant manager, I really need to go out and understand who our customers are. So I begged and pleaded and talked to my manager and said, let me take a couple years off from this job and help me get a sales job with Square D so I can go meet the customer and really understand what it is they want and expect from us as a manufacturer. He says, I'll do that, Dave, but my fear is you'll never come back. And he was actually absolutely right. I got into the sales side of the business, absolutely fell in love with that side of the business, getting to meet people, make relationships, and you know, just kind of grow in that part of our business. So fast forward 7 or 8 years, and I had a few opportunities at Square D to advance. And the last opportunity they gave me was to move back to Chicago to the corporate office to be the national account manager for Gray Bar, which was going to be a great opportunity back at the corporate office where things were happening, decisions were being made. And one of our distributors that day, Billy DeLoach, took me to lunch, and I said, geez, Billy doesn't take me to lunch unless we've done something wrong. There must be something he's going to get on us about. So we went to lunch, and he said, Dave, I just bought my brother out of the business a year or so ago. We've got 3 locations, and I'm either going to grow this thing or I'm going to get out of it. And I don't think I can do it by myself, and I think you'd be a good guy to help me do it. I'd like you to come be a partner in our business. And I say, wow, Billy, that's a wonderful opportunity. I'm getting ready to move to Chicago. I've already told my family we're heading that direction. I said, but wow, I don't think I can pass this up. So best decision I've ever made in my life, you know, Gus, don't tell Mom. Best decision I've ever made in my life, other than marry my wife, was going to work with Billy DeLoach, and we just set out to grow our business. And so when we set out to grow our business, and you look at electrical distribution, that the reality is we don't make anything, right? I mean, we're only as good as the people that work for us. So to grow our business, we decided that we needed to focus on 3 things, 3 stakeholders in our business, and all of them being people. And we felt like if we treated our customers right, if we treated our suppliers right, and we treated the people that work with us right, the rest would take care of itself. So that really became kind of the vision we had for our business, and we grew from 3 locations to we have 18 locations today. And it's been a really, really good success story. And like I said, back to kind of how I started, the biggest break I got was I had no idea how to run an electrical distribution business. And I was going from a manufacturer right into the president's seat of having to run an operation that I had really little no experience in. And I learned so much from people sitting in this room like you guys are today. My best friends in the industry today were sitting next to me 15 years ago in these very seats. And we talk on a regular basis. I get ideas, bounce ideas off them. I've got probably 2 emails today, this morning already, from friends that work for other companies asking me my advice on this or something they're struggling with. So you guys are getting a wonderful break today in your careers by being here.